Are you ready?
Starting now?
Well, now you just messed it up, you knob. God, you know that the shit that we go through for this, huh?
I know. Fuckers better appreciate it. When we started, we were just like, yeah, we're just going to do this, man. You know, shoot our wad into the wind and see what happens. What's the title of this podcast again?
I don't know. Objects, I don't know. Something with a penis, I guess.
Right.
Our fucking faces are everywhere now.
Right.
You know, but
You're welcome, ladies.
Right. Popular with the ladies. Right. Oh, I'm not even going to apologize because hopefully it sounds fucking hilarious.
Yeah, totally. This is fucking explicit now.
The explicit button. Let me use my finger.
It is time for another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And that episode starts now. All right, everyone. Welcome once again to another episode of Sober, Not Mature. I was actually going to start off with a whoo, buddy, and a y'all, and whatever. And I'm like, fuck it. We had a little bit of a delay. Not us this time, Riverside things. So, but yeah. So we're up and running. I don't know, a few minutes later than what we would have, or I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Than we planned, but yes.
Yeah. Than we planned, and then just had a little issue. But you know what? One way or the other, even if we would have been ready to start on time, Riverside was not. So
right.
And God only knows what the hell that was. Dashboard issue. Blah 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 blah. So, but yeah. So anyhow, I'm in Texas. That's part of the thing. I get a couple of stories about that. But I'll give you one guess about where I'm actually recording. You'll never guess, but I'll let you guess.
You're in the bathroom. I guessed.
You did. You know what? You impressed me. Now ask me why.
Why?
Okay, first of all, it has nothing to do with bodily functions at all. So,
well, that's no fun.
I know. Yeah. Well, why'd you do the podcast in the bathroom? Monster shits, and just what am I willing to do, right? But no, that's not actually it. So. Short story. You want to hear the why? I mean, we got time, right? I think we got.
I don't know, but yeah, you're getting a little reverb off of it, so it's kind of cool.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Huh. Okay. So, hopefully, because I've got the echo thing on, I actually put.
Right. Yeah. No, I think just the acoustics in the room. Is it tile in there?
It is, but what I did was I put the rug down that I bring with me. I've got the bath mat, and I hung a blanket over the shower curtain to try to cover that part of it up. But I don't know. Yeah, it just I thought hopefully with the echo cancellation and stuff like that hopefully it'll record okay. But either way, fuck it. It is what it is. But
right.
I challenge anyone out there to find any other podcast that's recording from the bathroom tonight. So if nothing else, we're not unique, but in this case, maybe. So the short story is, long drive on Saturday. I got here, I got all my shit unloaded, got a couple of things checked to make sure I knew where the router was and all this other garbage to make sure everything was kind of set. Ran up to the store. I got like a pre-made meal because I was fucking hungry. Mm-hmm. Came back here, got like my work stuff set up and whatever. I ate, sat down, watched TV, had a drumstick, and I'm like, fuck, I'm tired. I went to bed. So Sunday, same thing, just kicking around, doing whatever. And then I sit down on Sunday night, and the couch is, just on a back wall. The way this property is set up, there's 4 units in this building. But it's a ranch style building, so obviously not 2 stories. There's 2 end units, and I'm on one of the ends. Actually, the most private of the entire thing, which is cool.
Fancy.
And then but then there's 2 in the middle, and it's not fancy. There's a couple other things about it, but it is what it is. So the 2 in the unit. So I only have one person, like one shared wall, but it's shared for the living room and the bedroom, and the rest of it's kind of a 2-room place, and then bathroom being separate. So I'm sitting there on Sunday night and I'm watching TV, and it sounded like somebody was standing right outside the door because I heard somebody clear their throat. And I'm like, who the fuck is standing outside the door? So I muted the TV and wait for a minute, and person like coughed or whatever. It was behind me. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So the walls are so fucking thin. It's like being in a house in a normal bedroom because those walls are never, real thick.
Right.
It seems to be like that's the thickness of the walls, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Because I already set up all my work stuff. I mean, my desk is facing that wall. It's the only real comfortable place I can put it. And I'm like, well, I hope this guy fucking works, because if he doesn't, he's going to hear me in the morning and fuck him.
Mm-hmm.
But then I thought about it as it came to the podcast thing. I'm like, I'm going to sit there and, he was, whether he's got off days on Thursdays and Fridays, I don't know, but he was here, so I'm like, fuck it, man, I got to work. So I didn't really care too much. But, with this thing, I'm like, later on at night, if somebody's trying to relax, I'm trying to think of other people. But then again, I'm like, I want to be able to, I get a little loud every once in a while. And I don't want to have to be conscious of somebody literally sitting like next to me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's like in Office Space, man. The dude next door.
It's okay for me to listen at a reasonable level. I'm doing
no. I was thinking his neighbor.
Oh,
yeah. Right. They're talking through the wall.
Right. Yeah.
Turn on channel 6. They're showing tits.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of what it is. I literally, because the guy, for whatever reason, he's one of those guys that apparently likes to be on the phone a lot. So I hear him talking on the phone. I can't hear conversations, but I hear bits and pieces. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, But again, it's one of those things where, I get it. The person who rents out this Airbnb is not going to say, oh yeah, but by the way, it's fucking thin walls. Nobody's going to rent the place.
Yeah.
Had I known, there's no fucking way I would have rented here, because I do this partially, to, obviously I work and it's remote and all those things, but I want to have a little bit of privacy,
Yeah.
Every place I've been in, has neighbors to it, but it hasn't been like this, so
right.
Again, is what it is. But then I'm like, you know what, fuck it. I can just go in the bathroom there. It's got central air, so I'm not going to get, fucking hot. There's a air conditioning vent in here. Just pulled my rug in here. I've got the TV tray. So I'm set up basically like I used to set up at your house.
Right.
When I would just be visiting, and, same type of deal, but I'm just sitting next to the toilet. So
I have proper walls here.
Yes.
That happens when you have a 105-year-old home.
Yeah, they're made of steel or cement or something.
Pretty
right?
much. Yeah. I mean, it's it's plaster and there's wood slats in there, and it's old timey.
Right. Well, and I didn't ask when I was there, because obviously being there for that week, Lydia was gone for a few days, but at least for 1 or 2 days she was there while I was working. I don't know if she could hear me. I forgot to ask her. So, but
probably not.
Yeah, and it's again, they like at Kathy's house, when there was a guest in the other bedroom, I can hear people through there, and it kind of is what it is. But I don't know. I just figured, fuck it. I don't want to be, because I know I would have been self-conscious of trying to record, with being loud. So I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Let's go in the bathroom.
Right. Yeah.
On top of it, it'd be a fun conversation. And hey, we go long a little bit. I drink coffee.
Right.
If I gotta go, I'm right here.
Yeah. You pull that microphone down there, and yes, we'll have sound effects.
Yeah. I'll try to. I was gonna say I'll promise. I'll try to promise that I try not to have to go to the bathroom during this time frame. Okay. I figured I'd flush the toilet. I'd flush the toilet. That's cool. If things get really bad, like if you get on some fucking ramble that if you're running on too long, which never happens, I'll flush the toilet and then we'll know. So
okay.
But before we forget, obviously we're running into Mother's Day weekend, so obviously happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. I know we've been getting a little bit more of a female audience, but so for all you the females out there that are moms,
all you mothers.
All you mothers out there.
That's right.
Happy Mother's Day.
And for the guys, you motherfuckers.
Yeah, you motherfuckers. There you go. And then, hopefully, if everyone's still, if your mom is still around, cherish it, because we don't have a mom around anymore. But, kind of is what it is. But, so just, I don't know, everyone enjoy the weekend. And I figured I'd say that before we forgot. But who knows? Maybe we'll remember at the end too. So anyhow, so yeah, I got some stories, and I found something on the I found something about us that's very nice, and I want to read that off, and then I don't know, I get nonsense, but I think what do you say? Should we do one of them fucking readings? Get that
Yeah, let's
fucking thing
do a
out of the way.
reading
You
because
got one?
yeah, sure, why not?
Right.
I've got a book here. I can open it up and read something out of it.
Random.
Right. No, actually, today's was pretty damn good, so I thought I'd do that one. Although
Cool.
I forgot to look up the quote, who this person is. I don't know. Why don't I do that now? Real time. Let's see here. Let's go to the Google machine. Margaret Bonando. Nope, that ain't it.
Bonando.
Oh, and it's still doing voice. Oh, wait. Now it's doing everything. Stop. Google machine. Margaret. Let's try typing it. Oh, good Lord. And now I'm getting a text message.
See, is it the beauty of technology, right?
I know. R-T, Margaret. B-O-N.
Bernardo sounds like an ABBA song.
Right.
Bernardo.
All right. Well, apparently she's some fiction writer.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
I could go deeper, but I'm not going to.
Go deeper with Margaret.
Right. Wow.
With your Bernardo.
No, actually, a picture came up. No, thank you.
No bueno.
All right, May 10th. It is only possible to live happily ever after on a day-to-day basis. Margaret Bonando. It is said, quote, "The moment is our link to eternity, to the divine," close quote. Recovery gives us many messages about living in the moment. Easy does it, one day at a time, just for today. As active addicts, we used chemicals to alter our relationship with the present. By getting high, we live disconnected from the moment. Now we are learning that the present moment is our best point of influence. In this moment, we can choose to act from our values or to betray our values. By living in the moment, we stay connected to our higher power and our values. With each new day of staying sober and living a life of principles before personality, we increase our chances of doing the same in the future. Prayer for the day. Higher power, you are found in every moment. Help me seek you out in everyday life, not in the past or in the future, but now. Today's action. Oh, those pesky actions. Today, I will practice living in the moment. If I find myself drifting into the past or the future, I will come back to the moment.
Right. The moment. Okay. So that is something that, I mean, clearly we talk about a lot. Obviously being present, living in the moment. I mean, that's one of the things that I'd say that's one of the main things we learned or were told right away, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously it's in the big book. Don't regret the past or wish to shut the door on it, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And try not to, what do they call, the kids call it now future tripping, worry about.
Is that what the kids call it?
Yeah, I've heard it. I've heard it on plenty of podcasts, future tripping.
All right.
And I get it. I mean, I understand the concept, looking at something in the future and getting all freaked out or wigged out about it and all that stuff. And, also, obviously people have said, we've talked about it, that whatever we end up building up in our minds, good, bad, or indifferent,
right.
usually doesn't happen in that exact way. Rarely does it happen in that exact way. Again, good, bad, or indifferent, But I wrote down, there's one thing I wrote down that I want to talk about in more detail, but day-to-day basis I wrote down, that was right in the beginning, living in the moment. Clearly that's everything we're talking about. And the moment is the best point of influence that I liked. And, what do you think? I don't remember what the entire sentence said, but best point of influence was to talking about just influencing our day-to-day lives or overall direction, or what do you think that was actually?
For the moment, yeah, we are now learning that the present moment is our best point of influence. Yeah. I mean, I think I took it as if we're living in the moment, in the present, that's where we can have the most influence. That's reality.
Right.
It's because we definitely can go off on flights of fancy and again, that the control thing and yeah, the outcomes and all of that, and like you said, man, the outcome is not going to be what we thought it was going to be. It never is. Yeah, good, bad, or indifferent. It's going to be, yeah, something other than what our little twisted minds came up with. Yeah, so the best point of influence. It's I think the best how we can help others the best because we're staying in the moment. We're not, tripping off to use the kids' words uh, on our little flights of fancy, man. We're looking at reality square in the face, which we don't always like to do, but
Right.
but actually the more that I do this thing, I do actually prefer reality today. I certainly didn't in the past, but yeah, because it is what it is, and it's not going to change, and my little perceptions of things don't matter. And so, yes, true actual reality in the moment is the best because that's what it is. And my little trips and controls and whatever don't come into play because I can't control actual reality. It just is its thing. It's the truth. It's pure, and it's yeah. It's yeah. I can't manipulate it because it's fucking what it is. So
Right.
good. Save that energy for something else.
Right. Well, and that I think that goes back to the freedom too, of not realizing that we can't control it. It comes back to the whole people, places, and things shit.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, and I know I've said this on here before, probably more than enough times, but I think it's worth repeating. I say twice a day because it's embedded in my prayers. I
Uh-huh.
tell myself twice a day, morning and night, people, places, and things.
Mm-hmm.
You can't control them.
Right.
I and I've been saying that the number of days we've been sober. I don't know when I started saying it, but it was really early, and I think when
Mm-hmm.
we were still at the Keating Center and walking the
Sure.
mile and doing that shit. It's been a long, long, long time, and because I realized or was told or learned, that's one of my biggest problems is that control thing,
Mm-hmm.
and people, places, and things. Everyone always told us watch out for people, places, and things.
Mm-hmm.
And just realizing and telling myself that I can't control it, but that's it. We have influence on how we act and react, and
Mm-hmm.
how we live, and how we, I don't know, exist in a positive way, exist in this moment, and we do have influence. We've got influence on ourselves, and hopefully, for being decent people, have positive. We can have influence on anyone.
Sure.
It doesn't necessarily have to be, hey, that those dudes are a bad influence, which, maybe
Yeah,
at times,
sure.
but I mean, we have that ability these days to. I mean, we can't influence the future. We certainly can't change the past. So, like you
Right.
said, it is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
Yeah.
and yeah, like you said, it's the freedom of not having to control shit. Yes, exactly. Living in the now, man, is yeah. What else is there? I
Right.
mean, really, you're just fucking burning calories and wasting your time trying to either relive the past, live in the past, or try to change the future. It's just stupid, man. Now is all we have, so enjoy it, and live it to its fullest, and yeah, I definitely prefer it this way.
Right. Yeah. It is as they say, this is the easier, softer way, even though we didn't think so to begin with.
Right.
But the freedom part. So there's a podcast, one of the podcasts I listen to. They usually, for the most part, I mean, they're pretty consistent. Like we release on Saturdays, they release every Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So I was listening to their podcast episode last night when I was getting my dinner together, and one of the one guy, he's got 9 or 10 years, somewhere in that range.
Mm-hmm.
The chick that's on there, I think she's coming up on 3 years.
Okay.
So it's a cool difference that they have, every once in a
Mm-hmm.
while, and watching literally both of them grow over the last couple of years that I've been listening to them. They came out around the same time or shortly after we did,
Mm.
somewhere in that range. But um, she was talking about the fact that she's a nurse, and they went to a baseball game it was like, I don't know, they were honoring, I guess this is Nurses Week, I think. And if,
Yeah, I heard something about that on the radio. Yep.
and side note on that, anyone that listens to us, it's a nurse. Happy Nurses Week.
Sure.
You guys serve a purpose, a
Yeah.
real big purpose.
Take my
Sometimes
temperature.
sometimes a bigger purpose than the doctors. If you ask any
Oh
nurse,
yeah.
they'll tell you
Mhm.
that. They'll admit that fully. But so they went to this game, and she said everyone that she was there with was drinking. She said not everyone was drinking problematically or alcoholically, but she
Mhm.
said she was sitting there, and obviously the beer guys running around, everyone grabbing drinks, doing this and that.
Huh.
And so like I said, she's probably 2.5 years sober, and she said that she was sitting there and she was talking about this, and she's like, it's so weird for me to say this, but she goes, I just felt so free.
Mm.
you know and he's like, yeah, he goes, he goes, enjoy that freedom. And I'm like, yeah, you say
Hey,
that.
hey.
I'm like, hey, I didn't even mean it that way, like you stole it. But I'm like, yes, because
Right.
she was in a circumstance. I think she's been to one or two sporting events since then, but
Mhm.
she was slow to get back into the groove of things like that, with
Right.
like a lot of people are, myself included. But she was just sitting there realizing that, fuck, man, I'm in a baseball game, and I'm in an area. It's nice out, area
Mhm.
where I would have usually drank. I'm watching other people drink, not necessarily getting stupid, but I know I would. And
No,
man,
right.
is that a great freedom, So
Mhm.
it was cool. And that reminded me of it. We started talking about freedom, but yeah, I mean, it's a lot of other people, thankfully, I think, experience that same thing. And I think it's huge.
No, yeah. Well, it's a big part of this thing. Doing it, if you're doing it right, you're gonna get free, man. I
Right.
mean, what is addiction? It's slavery. It's
Right.
absolutely. I was a slave to the substances. I was a slave to my impulses and my feelings. I was, and I'm not today because I'm in the fucking moment. And yeah, excuse me. And I know my feelings are going to change, and I don't have any power over those either. I just have power to react to them or ignore them because, again, I have the knowledge that my feelings don't fucking matter. It's my actions. I can be miserable or I can be totally fucking happy, and my actions don't change due to my moods.
Right.
Unlike Ditka, who affects the weather according to his moods. One of my favorite goddamn things ever. I just love that one. I always have. Right? Yeah, the Chicago guys, the
Right.
Bears. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Ditka can affect the weather according to his moods.
Yeah, that was wasn't that was George Wendt that did that, wasn't it? Was George Wendt one of the guys that did it?
Yeah, it was George Wendt and
Chris Farley was
John
in there,
Goodman
and
and Chris Farley.
oh
Yeah.
yeah. And there was another guy with dark hair, and I know the actor, but I can't, or the comedian, I can't think of his name. But yeah, all
Well,
of them. The
I think
Bears.
Mike Myers did it for a while too.
Oh shit, that's right. Yeah, because he had the oversized, fucking oversized bush mustache.
Yeah.
I think they probably all did, but yeah, that was actually funny. But yeah, I mean, you're right though. I mean, it doesn't matter what's going on. It doesn't have to affect our moods. But the other thing I thought about with the freedom part, I don't know, made this pop into my head, but I think when I was in the Ozarks and I was going someplace, just kind of kicking around the 1 week, the full weekend that I was there, and I drove by a couple of bars, and I mean, clearly I knew there were bars, and I mean, they were whatever time it was, it's 2 o'clock on a beautiful, Sunday or Saturday afternoon, and the parking lot is like fucking full. And I'm like, and there was no outdoor patio or anything like that. Part of that, I mean, that I can at least understand a little bit if you get to sit outside. Um, but I'm sure with a lot of way these bars are, you walk in, it's fucking dark, it's dingy, and you're just sitting in there fucking drinking. And same deal, the freedom.
Yeah.
We don't have to do that shit anymore.
Right. I mean, that's why I went into a bar, because it was dark and dingy, and all I had to do was drink.
Right. Did I tell you? God, where it had again? It was in the Ozarks. I went to this one trail, and this I mean, it was an older guy. I had stopped to take a couple of pictures, and if I had to guess, he's probably mid 60s, maybe even late 60s or something like that. It could have been in his early 70s, but he was easily 10, 15, 20 years older than me. But I had stopped to take
Uh-huh.
some pictures, and he kind of passed me on the trail. So I was I don't know when I'm walking through places like that. I don't sit there and want to like walk along with somebody. Same deal. Just want to enjoy it with
Right.
my shit. So I let him get a little ways ahead of me, and then there was this one part where you kind of cross a road, go through a parking lot, then go on to this other part of the trail. And he was sitting on the steps, going to the next part of the trail. Obviously, just taking a little breather. And I start walking up, and I look, and I'm like, "Is that a?" And I'm like, "Sure as fucking shit." The dude's got a pint of vodka sitting next to him on the steps. And I'm walking up. I'm like, "Hey, can I sneak through here?" And he picks up his bottle, and I just walk through. So the guy's fucking walking through this hiking trail, like, drinking his pint of vodka. Same deal. The freedom. I had a bottle of water.
Nice.
So
Yep.
I mean, again, I'm not faulting the guy. It is what it is, man. But I'm just, again, I'm glad it's not me.
Right. Yeah. Well, at least he was staying hydrated.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, the last thing that I wrote down on here, and it's one of the sayings, and I clearly this is from the big book, principles before personality. That's a big book thing, correct? Yes, it is, right?
Is the 12th tradition.
That's what I was going to say. Is that I almost said promises, but I knew it wasn't. But um, oh yeah, always ever placing or always placing principle before personality is how it ends off, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so I think that we have probably brought that up on here before, but I don't know that we've ever talked about it. So let's just say if there's somebody new and they've heard that and they don't understand it, how would you? I don't even know how I would explain that. So I'm going to ask you first. How do you explain principles before personality or principle before personality?
Well, for me, I internalize it. I make it me. I have to put the principles before my personality because my personality's fucked up.
Right.
Um, Same thing, and also putting the principles before others' personalities, which is the way most people look at it, in the program, put the principles first, this guy is an asshole, even though he's in the rooms, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But I put the principles before, if he's can be an asshole, but he's still, working the program. It's the principles, not his personality or hers.
Right.
But like I said, I use it for myself. I have to put the principles before my personality, and if I do that, then I'm probably acting like a halfway decent human being, which is sort of the point of this thing, because I didn't know how to act like a normal decent human being before. I still really
Yeah.
don't, but again,
Right.
actions, not thoughts.
Well, and even hopefully you can act as a halfway decent. But and it's funny when because in the book, does it say principles with an S before personality, or is it singular? Do you know? Because I can actually look it up. Let me look it up in my
No,
in
I
my
think
handy dandy big book app, because that's what you said is what I thought. I always thought it was talking about the principles of Alcoholics Anonymous. Before
I've got
our
it. Yeah, the steps and the traditions are in the back of this book too. Yeah,
well,
anonymity is the spiritual foundation of our traditions, every reminding us to place principles before personalities.
oh, okay, so it is plural. Okay, so that makes more sense to me. I mean that I could it's kind of how I always wrap my head around it. But I think I heard somebody say, maybe it was recently or I read it, principle, like singular, and I'm like, wait a second.
Hmm.
It kind of threw
I
me
think
in a
there's more
different.
than one.
Yeah, and that's why I was asking with that, and that's why because that was part of that reading too, and I wrote that down, and I'm like, I just kind of I want to get your opinion on that, so I'm glad I asked. Yeah, because like I said, I always thought it was plural, but for whatever reason, I thought I heard it singular at some point. So, well, cool.
Eh,
So, what else? I mean, I like that reading. Obviously, we talk about, like I said, living in the moment quite a bit. But what else? What else from the reading that kind of caught your eye or ear?
I mean, that just is it. We've talked about it, man. Living in the
Right.
moment, man. Fuck the past and the future. We can't do anything about. The only thing we can do anything about is right now. And uh, like I said, I like living in right now. It's the only thing I have. You know, what happened 10 seconds ago already happened, and what's going to happen 10 seconds from now, I have no idea. So right now is pretty damn cool. I like it.
Right.
It's enough.
Yep. And it is. I mean, it. We started off with the fact of the freedom with it, and it is. It's the easier and softer way to just deal with this moment. And just for anyone out there, we're not saying that we do plan for shit. Yes, we make plans and
Of
we
course.
have hopes and dreams and all that stuff. But the key
Mm,
there is not allowing any of that shit to rule our lives. We can make plans, but we don't have to let it rule our lives. That's the whole point, right?
right. And the great, the wonderful line that you hear around the rooms, man. You want to make God laugh? Tell him your plans.
Right. Yeah, well, it makes me laugh every time I read it, even though it's to me it's not necessarily a God thing. Just tell any one of us your plans, and somebody
Right.
will laugh
Yeah,
at
we'll
you.
laugh. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I'm going to be when I grow up. Oh, really? Oh,
Hmm.
really? So,
Right.
a couple of quick things that I maybe we got time for a couple of quick things before I take the break. So, I was listening to Rob Halford again, and still, I
Uh
need
huh.
to say this one more time. That the book is called. It's from Rob Halford, Judas Priest. It's called Confess. Even if you're not a Judas Priest fan, or even if you're not a music fan, yes, it leans into it. It wouldn't hurt to enjoy music a little bit, but he's fucking wonderful to listen to. He's just a great speaker
Mm-hmm.
or writer or whatever it is. Even if he had somebody, it doesn't matter. His stories are great. So they
Yeah.
finally came up to his sobriety date, January 6th of all dates,
Hmm.
1986. And then
Right.
he also said he has not gone to an AA meeting since he left rehab. He says that, of course, that doesn't work for everyone, but so far, that has worked for him. I didn't know again anything
Mm-hmm.
about, his program or whatever he did. But when he was taken to whatever hospital it was, I think he was in New York at the time, and they
Right.
kept saying the name of the hospital. Not that it matters, but he went in there, did the meetings, did the whole bit. Obviously, I think went through detox and all that different shit. But yeah. So did you know that he was not hadn't gone to any AA meetings or wasn't an AA guy? I didn't know.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't think so. I didn't know one way or another.
Right.
I mean, I follow him on Facebook and stuff, and I mean, he posts stuff that is pretty AA centric. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, I've talked about my feelings about the meetings. Meetings are definitely important early on
Right.
to have the fellowship and know that you're not alone and be with other people working this thing and learning how to work this thing and all that. But I mean, well, clearly you don't go to very many meetings, like
Right.
certainly not on a regular basis. And I go to one a week. It's my home group, and I go to be of service. It's the only fucking reason I go. I mean, the
Right.
fellowship's nice and whatever, but yeah, like Bob used to always say, it's an inside job, and being in a church basement is not going to keep you sober. I've said before, I shot up in the bathroom of a meeting before. I've been
Right.
drunk at meetings before. I've been high at meetings before. Yeah, a meeting is not going to keep you sober. It's a small part, the fellowship and being around people, knowing you're not alone, and all of that. I'm thoroughly convinced I'm not alone. I'm thoroughly convinced that this thing works, and I've been shown how to do it and all of that. Again, I go to one meeting a week now because I go to be of service. It's the only fucking reason I go there.
Right.
I don't want to go to a meeting. I don't need to go to a meeting. If it's a Tuesday and I'm stressed out about it or something, going and sitting in a church basement is not going to solve my problem. It's doing what I was taught to do internally to work the program, work the steps, apply these principles in all of my affairs. That's what's going to keep me sober. Like I said, I've been to meetings drunk. I've been to meetings high. I've gotten high at meetings. Meetings are great and they're an important part of early on, but they're that's not. And plus, we didn't get sober to go sit in a church basement 6 nights a week, 7 nights a week. That's, I know people do, and that's fine if it works for them. I know most of the people I know that are like in a meeting all the time and have been for years and years and years aren't all that happy.
Right. Yeah, and you're right, and I've been open about that, and so have you about the meetings and stuff like that. And even before, obviously I got I don't want to say obviously, the pandemic drew a lot of people away from physical meetings. And that was the start of me getting away from them and did the online meetings. But then I started getting into podcasts, and I, when I travel, like I went to South Carolina, I went to a couple, I'll do that if I have time, and what I say
Right.
if I have time, when I was in that area, I wasn't working yet when I was down there. I was just kicking around. I'm like, I'm going to hit a couple of meetings,
Right.
But now, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
as I'm doing all this stuff, I'm working all fucking day, and oh, let me let you in another thing. I'm kind of a walker now. I take walks now.
You hike? Is that what
I
you're
do.
saying?
No, I went for a walk. I went up by there's a park up the road from here, and on Monday, because it had rained on Sunday, and then on Monday I was kind of looking around or Sunday I was looking around at stuff. There's a park like 5 minutes away from here, right along the bay. So I'm like, I'm just going to go up there and see what's up there. It's a free park, so I just pulled in, and that's what it is. It's just a
Right.
park on the water with a walking path. Just a regular paved path along the ocean, or not the ocean, the bay. But I'm like, oh, I went up there and I
Yeah.
just, kind of kicked around for a little bit. And then I'm like, huh, Tuesday. I'm like, well, why don't I just go ahead and do that? Because I don't, I'm getting zero exercise because I'm in, literally going from here. I can walk 3 steps to get to where my coffee is. I'm not walking at all. So I'm like, let's just go up there again. So every day this week I went up and it's just nice. It's peaceful. And it's the same thing when, I joked about the hiking thing. I don't listen to music. I don't do anything while I'm doing that. I get out there and I just, it gives me time to, I don't know, maybe it's like a meditation thing. I'm not out there trying to, have a conscious contact with
Absolutely.
anything, but it's enjoying, nature and stuff like that, So,
Yeah.
but anyhow, so with the meetings, I don't know. I mean, with driving and stuff like that, I probably get more recovery now with the drives I've taken than I would sitting in a meeting once a week. Certainly more time. Because I'm listening
Right.
to hours and hours sometimes of podcasts and that sort of thing. But here's the deal, and I think both of us have said this before. Both of us know that if we really needed to be with people and around people, we know where to go. And that's the cool part. It doesn't matter where we are.
Right.
There is
Oh,
a
yeah,
comfort to that
absolutely.
too, Yeah, knowing that we got a place to go, right?
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just don't take advantage of it because thankfully don't need to today.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I kind of feel like, are we delaying a little bit? It seemed like maybe we are, but I
Yeah,
can't really tell. Does it seem really bad?
we are. Yeah.
So I what? God damn it! And you know what? I have the
Yep.
speed set right and everything like that. I wonder if God damn it! I hate to fucking do this, but maybe this is Riverside this time and not us. But I mean, what do you think? Should we just start? I mean, take a break and then restart?
Absolutely. All right. Well, stay tuned for more of this wonderful conversation.
Hey everyone, it's your friends at Sober Not Mature.
Hi
And
there.
yes, it's both of your friends this time. Hi Mike, how are you?
I'm well. How are you, Bill?
I am doing well, but we do have a purpose. We actually usually talk about our one website, but we actually have two websites now. So we wanted two websites in one. All right, so everyone knows we still have the podcast website that is www.SoberNotMature.com. And we just launched the store website, so we also have that. Do you know what the website address is on that one, Mike?
Of course I don't.
It's pretty easy, Mike. It's www.SoberNotMatureShop.com. But from the podcast website, you can still hit the store link and get into the web store, or you can access it from our Instagram page through the highlights. We've been posting quite a bit about it, and we'll continue to do that. But do you know what's on the second website, Mike?
Well, there's a store. There are products that you can purchase for you and your loved ones.
Well, Mike, do we still have merchandise?
We have merchandise. Well, we got T-shirts and coffee mugs and all kinds of crap.
And one of the coolest parts, we also do have all the recovery books from Hazelden, which is kind of a big deal.
That is a big deal.
At least for us. So all the books that we read, God Grant Me, 24 Hours, the big book, the 12 and 12, all of those books are available for sale on our website. And again, that store website is www.sober.
Trying to help, man.
I know you are. You're not helping, though. Okay, now I got to say www.SoberNotMatureShop.com. .com. Visit that today, or visit the podcast website, which is, again, the podcast website. So
www.SoberNotMature.com.
Did you just say sober but not mature?
Yeah, sure. Write that down.
Yeah, like fucking mush mouth or something. All right, everyone. You've suffered enough with this, and we'll get back to what we were talking about previously. So visit the websites, though. All right, everyone. Welcome back after that quick 2-minute break.
Right.
Which, again, turned out to be...
Lucky you.
Our Riverside is the one that's having the problem, this week. And both Mike and I had trouble getting actually back into the studio. So either way, doesn't really matter. But so to wrap up, one more thing with Rob Halford, and I didn't know if you knew this. Did you know that they were approached by the producers of Top Gun, and they wanted to use the song Reckless in the movie? Did you know about that?
I did not.
Okay, so I'd never heard that. He said that they declined because they would have had to leave it off the album, whatever album it was on. And this was a funny part, and he laughed at it when he said it. He said it kind of sarcastically. They didn't think the movie would be that big.
Right.
And there was some other movie that they had a song in, because he said we didn't want to pass up on it a second time, but I can't remember what the movie was. But I'm like, fuck, man, I never heard that about Top Gun, and I thought maybe you had, but so
I
never
had
heard that.
not. Well, apparently he didn't know about the volleyball scene. Otherwise, he would have been all for it. But anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And that is the funny part, man. We see it's some of the shit he says. Just again, he's a real treat to listen to. He's just fucking a lot of fun. So once again, it's called Confess by Rob Halford, and I highly recommend it. And I'm doing the audiobook through Audible, and I think it's 13 hours, maybe 14 hours, something like that. I don't remember, but I still have, I don't even know how much I have left, but I'm listening to it, and actually obviously big chunks while I'm driving, but I just fucking love it. So it's a good book. But all right, so do you want to hear about I found something about us, something actually nice. Do you want to hear something good about us?
Yeah, always.
So every once in a while, and I used to do this years ago too, when I was doing, well, years and years ago when I was writing a lot of articles and I was getting published in certain things. And then after I wrote the books and the collection industry and stuff like that, I do a search on my name, to see where I might be hitting, where the exposure might be. But I also ran across a couple of things where people tried to, like hijack articles without my opinion or without my permission and all that stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
which is not what I'm looking for these days, because everyone grabs a hold of our podcast, which is cool.
Right.
If all the big boys and girls have it, the Apples and the Spotifys and the Amazons and everything like that. So we actually basically push them out to those, and then all these smaller ones feed off the other ones, which is fine. There's nothing
Mm-hmm.
wrong with that.
Right.
Somebody's selling our T-shirts on eBay. Which,
Really?
yeah, and I know what they're doing, because people used to do it with my books too. Because you look at the delivery date, they've got a delivery date of like 4 weeks or something like that. So what they're going to do is somebody either maybe they bought one and tried to sell it, or somebody came across whatever the deal is. But if somebody buys one, they'll just buy it from us and then they'll resell it, because you look and
Right.
see the price. And again,
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a fuck. It doesn't affect us.
I'm
but
waiting to see one in the thrift store.
yeah, right. Yeah, covered in motor oil.
Yep.
Yeah, just somebody using it working on their car. But the other thing too, what I usually run across again, the places that we've been, podcasts we've been on, the Sober Curator, Instagram, Facebook, all those sort of things. But then I ran across this one. I'm like, well, that's kind of new. I've never seen it before, but we are now featured, along with plenty of other podcasts, plenty of
Mm-hmm.
other sober stuff, on a website called alcoholfree.com. Okay.
All right.
And it's, again, it's all this, as you might imagine, it's everything about, alcohol free stuff. So I saw the Sober Not Mature, and then whatever it was, I saw a bit of the write up they did on this. I looked and I'm like, well, this is kind of cool.
Mm.
So they're clearly grabbing our RSS fee, which is just a fee that you can get from like Anchor and all that stuff. So
Right.
they're posting all of our episodes, but with the exception of like the most recent three, and you can tell they're AI driven, but they do descriptions and all that stuff. Like one episode, this goes back to episode 108. Join hosts Mike and Bill in a candid discussion on recovery, guilt, shame, and sobriety. And Sober Not Mature, episode 108, exploring personal insight and reflections on the journey to inner peace, which whatever we talked about, again, keywords, that's how I know it's all AI shit.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
But they have a thing on there. They have podcast notes, obviously on there, which is, things that I just read. But then it has a thing called Our Take, which is their take on our podcast. Okay.
Okay.
So just out of curiosity, because I'm like, okay, do they fawn over every podcast?
Mm-hmm.
And I popped into one other podcast that is popular that I listen to, and I know the individual and all that stuff. And they didn't. That one wasn't as colorful as ours is. Okay. So I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. Try not to get let me just read it to you. Okay. It's long, but not too long. Okay.
Well, whatever, man. Our robot overlords like us, so who cares what the humans think?
Right. So, okay. Sober Not Mature, a fun and candid podcast on addiction recovery. That's the title. If you're looking for a podcast that is both informative and entertaining about addiction recovery, then look no further than Sober Not Mature. Hosted by two witty,
Who?
witty, sober guys who have experience.
Dim-witty.
Right. Two witty, sober guys who have experienced addiction firsthand. This podcast provides an unfiltered view of what it's like to live a sober life while having fun along the way. You will discover inspiring stories from guests who have found hope in recovery. The hosts also discuss topics such as the importance of support groups and maintaining sobriety, monumental moments in sobriety, daily practices for staying sober, and much more. What sets this podcast apart is its candid approach to discussing sensitive topics related to addiction. Listeners will appreciate how openly the hosts share their experience with regret and nostalgia while providing valuable insights into how they cope with these emotions. Now, only thing it's not a problem with, but I disagree with, we do not, share experience with any regret, so
No.
that word may have been pulled out from an AI type of thing. We probably talked about not having regrets.
Right.
But it says, with regret and nostalgia, take out the regret part, while providing valuable insights into how they cope with emotions. They talked about sharing personal experience with listeners, also interviews experts in the field of addiction recovery. They did for example, it's about an episode about somebody that a soap thing that I'm not gonna read that right now because
Right.
we know what that deal is.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if you want to visit the website, feel free. We didn't take down the episode they're speaking of, but this particular individual, let's just be straightforward. We lost touch with the individual. I have no idea what the individual is
Yeah.
doing.
He's in the wind.
Yep, we don't have an affiliation with the individual, but it's not our place. And Mike and I talked about it. We're not going to pull down the episode,
Yeah.
under any circumstance, unless somebody kills somebody. So, well, maybe we'll
and
keep it
even
up because
then.
that could get ratings. So, anyhow,
Right. There are no bad examples.
we have a price. And then the last two paragraphs, the hosts also discuss lighter subjects such as music that helped them during their journey, or even just fun topics like first jobs post recovery. No matter what topic they cover, though, you can always count on them being honest about their experiences, which makes listening all the more engaging. Overall, Sober Not Mature is an excellent resource for anyone looking to understand what it's like living a sober life while still having fun along the way. It's not just another self-help podcast. It's a genuine conversation between friends who want to share their experience with others. Nice, huh?
Yeah, suckers.
I know. And you know what? We didn't have to hump anyone's leg to get that written up either,
As far as you know.
As far as I know. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. You fucking somebody at alcoholfree.com. If you are, thank you.
Well, I'm not fucking them. I
just
made a big leap there from humping their leg to fucking them.
Okay, sorry. But no, I just thought it was, like I say, I do a search just to see where are we reaching. And I look all the time. And the thing of it is, here's the other thing, because I'm like, where did these fucking people come from? So they're registered in England and Wales. Okay. So that might be where we're getting some of these, other
My
areas,
people.
Yeah. But I don't know. It was nice, and it didn't look it definitely, some of this stuff is probably canned written, but somebody took some time, if nothing else, to take a look at this. And there's a lot of fucking podcasts on here. So I was just like, God damn, that's pretty nice. Not only nice, but with the exception of having the word that we share our experience with regret, which we do not.
Right.
That's the only thing that was not correct or not. I don't even want to say not flattering, but not on point, I guess it would be the best way to put it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Out of context and doesn't have anything to do with us because we don't regurg shit.
Yeah, we do not regurg shit. But I was thinking about, I didn't take the time yet, but I was thinking about reaching out to them and just, kind of thanking them. And they're on Facebook. I didn't have a chance to look. I just found this like 2 days ago, and obviously saved the link to it. But, I don't know, say thank you, for featuring us, and any place that we can get exposure like that is obviously cool. But I don't know. It was nice, again, not trying not to get the whole ego into play, but it was really fucking nice. I just thought so.
Yeah. Well, it's it's always good to know where somebody's out there listening to us and enjoying it.
Right. Yeah. And, taking the time to write nice things about us. So, but anyhow, yeah. So anyone out there, take a look at it. Or if there's anything that you could help support somebody that's supporting us, we're all for it. So it's simple. It's just alcoholfree.com. So visit them today.
All right.
So, so yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. But a couple of this was just stupid side notes. So you and I have talked on many, many occasions that regardless of where you go, doesn't matter what town, what city, what area of the country, there's certain advertising they're always the same. Car dealerships and attorneys, right?
Right.
So I listened to, and here's the funny part. So I listened to Tune In. That's where I listened to the morning show from Milwaukee. And
right.
With kicking around like I do, usually if I'm in, like when I'm in Cleveland, a lot of times I'll get Cleveland-based ads because, they can tell what location you're in.
Yeah, exactly. I get that off of iHeart too. Right.
Yeah. And then if you travel someplace like when I was in Missouri, I was getting Missouri ads and that sort of thing, which is fine. But so the funniest part here is I'm getting an ad for
Oh, and by the
some.
way, you can listen to us on iHeartRadio if you want to.
Yeah, you can listen to us on iHeart and TuneIn. Yeah, both of those you can listen to us on.
There
So
you go. All right.
yes.
Just didn't want to let that go by. Right.
Yeah. In other words, we're kind of a big deal. We're fucking everywhere is what we're trying
Right.
to along with millions of other podcasts, right?
Yep.
But so I'm getting it like an ad every morning for some internet place or internet thing in Cleveland, which is weird. But then I get these Texas, I'll get Texas dealership ads. First of all, this may surprise you, but there's a lot of fucking pickup trucks down here. Okay, just
Really?
just to let you know. Yeah, I know. It's surprising. It's surprising. In these dealerships, that they were having a sale on apparently Malibu's, but now they're having a truck sale, and it's like this local radio station is sponsoring them. She's like, "Ooh, yeah, y'all are speaking our language now." Just like, I'm like, Jesus Christ, you have to just fucking live up to the stereotype. But then, so who's the fucking attorney in Cleveland? You know who I am, and you know what I do.
Tim Misney.
Okay. So so Tim Misney, this fucking bald ass motherfucker, and all it is, he's trying to be like the Nike symbol or something like that. So just if people see his face, and his sign literally says, "You know who I am, and you know what I do."
Right.
And it makes
he
me
makes
fucking laugh.
them pay.
Right. So that's his line. He makes them pay. There's one in Milwaukee that's oh God, why can't I think of his fucking name? I can't even think of his tagline. It'll come to me. But there's these dudes here. There's one in Chicago. These attorneys in Chicago. They're called the Hammer in Chicago.
I've seen the billboards.
Yeah, well, they've got them in Texas too. The Hammers are down here, but these guys are. Have you ever seen the commercials for like General Insurance? Where they come on down and get General Insurance or whatever it is. It's a cartoon character. This fucking cartoon voice.
Yeah, right.
Swear to fucking God, that's who these guys are. Okay, it's Rick and something Adler, I think, are their names. But it starts off, it's like, they got me the money, and I didn't expect you like, yeah, we're going to get you the money. We're going to get you. We're going to put the hammer down on them insurance companies. We're the Hammer. Call the Hammer. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And you know what? These guys probably make money fucking hand over fist.
Oh yeah.
And it just, but I swear to God, it's not even just, I don't know, they're not even like attorneys that get on like, what we do for you is serious. We're going to put the hammer down. No, these fucking cartoon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
Right.
These insurance companies are taking all your money. You're stressing out about that. We got a hammer for that.
I think you've been down there too long, man.
A fucking week. It makes me laugh. The same fucking ad plays every goddamn morning, and it makes me laugh. And I'm like, ugh. But yeah, every place. Car dealerships, I don't watch the news anymore, but it used to be the local news and the weather people. They're the same everywhere. Just obviously reporting on a different city. But yeah, fucking car dealerships and attorneys. But these are the funniest fucking attorneys I've ever heard in my life. Just fucking cracks me up. So yeah, if you're ever in Texas and you get hurt. there's a hammer for that.
There's a hammer for that nail.
Yeah, there's a hammer for that. But so anyhow, that was just a side note. So okay, back to business. Now, are you ready? You ready to get fucking serious around here? I mean, I'm the one sitting in the bathroom. Could you just calm down a little bit?
All right.
All right. So we all know about the well, not maybe we all, but you and I obviously know about the saying contempt prior to investigation. We talked about that plenty. Barty used to say that, blah, blah, blah. Did you know that was part of a bigger quote?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's in the, the second or third appendix in the big book.
Is it though? So the whole quote is in there where it talks about there's a principle, which is a bar against all information. That's in the book? Is it really?
Yeah.
I never fucking knew that.
Yeah,
I swear to God.
Read the book sometime.
Wait, wow. Where's that? That's in the book?
Yeah, it's like I said, I think it's the second appendix. It's the spiritual awakening shit. Yep.
Yeah, and clearly, I know I've read it at some point, but I had no idea there was this big quote. And I was
Mm-hmm.
listening to Sober Friends. So our friend Matt was on I don't know what episode it was, but look up Sober Friends. They have a podcast. Him and his buddy Steve, and Steve Matt brought it up about contempt. I think he brought it up, but then Steve read the quote, and I'm just
Uh-huh.
going to read it in case anyone is as fucking
I
dumb as I am and is couldn't remember it was a quote. It says, "There is a principle which is a bar against all information, which is proof against all arguments, and which cannot fail to keep a man in everlasting ignorance. That principle is contempt prior to investigation," wrote philosopher Herbert Spencer. Okay.
Yep.
So, first of all, now that I know it's a quote, I guess that was my biggest part. I'm like, did you know you did? Probably everyone else in the world did. But so we've talked about it a lot, but I don't know. I just thought it'd be interesting to, if nothing else, have at least a brief conversation about that. What does that even mean? I mean, contempt prior to an investigation. I guess to you, how do you even perceive that?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's as the quote says, it's a surefire way to keep yourself ignorant. Right? I don't believe that. I don't subscribe to that notion. Contempt prior to investigation, man. I know better, and you don't know what the hell you're talking about, and shutting shit down because you've got the answers already. Well, clearly we don't have the fucking answers already. Otherwise,
Right.
we wouldn't have ended up in places like the Keating Center and church basements and, having to read this fucking book that tells us how to goddamn live.
Right.
Right. But yeah, that's just it. No, that's wrong. Without looking into it, without learning about what a subject is, saying it's wrong, saying it's stupid, saying it doesn't work. Yeah, which I certainly did for Alcoholics Anonymous. Oh, that shit doesn't work. You
Right.
got to believe in God, and you got to, right, all these things. Right. I had contempt because I didn't investigate it thoroughly, and yeah, yeah. I keeping an open mind. No, clearly you investigate it. There's plenty of things that I've investigated and I now have contempt for. Um,
Right, but you did the work and you did the
but
research.
yes,
Right.
absolutely. And there were things that there were certainly things that I believed and thought were true, and then I investigated and found out that I was full of shit. It works both ways. Yeah. So, yeah, keep an open mind, look into things, truly learn what the hell it is, and then make up your mind whether you're going to think it's full of shit or that it actually works.
Right.
But either way, yes, don't keep yourself ignorant. Open that mind up and learn about things. Again, you may learn something that you don't want to know. You may learn something. You may learn that it's full of shit. You may learn that it's the most wonderful goddamn thing in the world. And why the hell wasn't I doing this all along?
Right.
Anybody relate to that?
Well, and when you were talking about that was the first thing that I thought about when you talked about Alcoholics Anonymous. Because if nothing else, both of us had this God question mark, or contempt,
Mm-hmm.
or the religious contempt, I guess would be a better way to put it.
Sure.
And maybe not. I know for me, I walking into this thing, I'm like, man, I'm not a fucking God guy. You had that open conversation with somebody, about
Mm-hmm.
how are you going to do this thing? The fact that
Right.
you're an atheist,
Right.
and I mean, both of us kind of got to our wits end, or ended up where we were, type of thing. But still, had we could have still went through this whole fucking thing with contempt, never done things the right way, and I'm guessing we wouldn't have been sober this long.
No, I
I mean,
wouldn't think so.
I don't have to research that much, research
Right.
that part that much. I, we have done the research. We've seen it. We've seen it happen.
Mm-hmm.
People that don't, grab onto the principles and the concepts. We were just talking about the principles and realizing and understanding. Thankfully, being around people and hopefully in every AA group across the country, people are telling individuals that, hey, it doesn't need to be a God thing. It is not a God thing,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have to, be a religious individual to get this thing and to, to be able to practice all these principles and that sort of
Right.
thing. But,
Well,
um,
unfortunately, it's not said enough. But
right,
and because that that's how it works for a lot of people, and that's fine. That's great. It still works, but it doesn't have to be that way. And if you read the literature, I mean, Bill Wilson, definitely laid that out. Look, it doesn't have to be that way. I mean, one of my favorite lines in Bill's story is, to Christ I conceded the certainty of a great man, not too closely followed by those who claimed him. Uh, which is, give you a little insight into Bill Wilson. Yeah, these Jesus people, yeah, that Jesus guy was all right, but these people that are claiming him, I'm not too sure about them.
right.
Yeah, that's right there in the big book, kids.
Yeah, and it's I mean, like you said, I mean, for years, and I try not to do it. These days, I try not to have contempt. Prior to
Right.
investigation, but I know I still do at times. I
Oh, of
can't think of
course.
anything right off the top of my head, but I think in most cases I'll catch myself. But
Mm-hmm.
there's certain things I know that either I don't like or wouldn't like,
Right.
based on past experiences. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's a version of or a thing, kind of adjacent to, and I'm like, it's the same thing as that, and I didn't like that, so I'm not going to try that because
Right.
I didn't like this other thing over here.
Right. Yeah,
But
but you do that with too much stuff, and you miss out on a lot of things.
oh yeah, exactly,
Right.
right. Yeah, but I thought it was interesting when they were talking about it, and like I said, I mean, clearly, I know that we read through. At some point, I know I've read through all of that, the entire fucking big book, and I
Right.
I went to big book studies and things like that. But I mean, it's been so long since I've sat, and it's funny they were talking about, I guess a little side note topic on that, but same episode, um, with Matt and Steve, they were talking about the big book, and it's kind of saying that they've been going to, Matt, for instance, he just celebrated 10 years, I think.
Uh-huh.
A couple of months ago. It's relatively last 3-4 months, somewhere in that area. But he's been going to the same big book meeting for 10 years.
Right.
And they just brought up the topic of, why do we keep doing this? Why do we keep reading the big book? Not saying
Right.
that they not really questioning there, but maybe some people on the outside thinking, why do you guys read? You guys go to the same meeting, read the same fucking book over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually had a nice discussion about that. But the gist behind it, which I'm sure you can guess, is just that we, and this is what Steve had said on there, is that we forget, we have to keep doing it, we
Yes,
have to
we
keep
do.
reminding ourselves. And just like anything else, it's doctors continue to learn, lawyers continue to learn, anyone
Mm-hmm.
that's in a any type of job. I mean, you can't just
Sure.
learn at the beginning and then never learn anything
Oh,
again.
absolutely. I mean, yeah. I mean, we do safety training all the time.
Right.
In my stuff, I mean, there's monthly stuff, there's quarterly stuff. Sometimes it gets to be a pain in the ass, but yeah. Every time I do one, it's like, oh yeah, this thing. But seriously, I get behind the wheel after doing one of those, and it's refreshed.
Hmm.
I'm more mindful of it, if nothing else.
Right.
Which is the same thing with recovery, right? Yeah, okay, I know this shit, but sometimes it's nice to just be reminded. It gives you, and sometimes you get down the road a little bit and you get a new perspective of something. You'll read something and you go, oh, that's what that means.
Right.
It still happens to us all the time.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I've read this thing 10 times, 14 times, whatever it is. Sometimes it'll just hit me a different way.
Right.
Yeah, keeping your mind open, man.
Well, I mean, literally, it just happened to me, 5 minutes ago. Like, did
Right.
you know that was a quote? You're like, yeah, it's right there in the fucking
Yeah,
book. I'm like,
right.
okay, I got it, gotcha, thank you. But there's been on this, if nothing else, I mean, not only has it happened to us, over the last 14 years on plenty of occasions, but just in this podcast, there's been a handful of things at a minimum that I've come across going, really? I had no idea,
Right.
or these things pop up. The readings that we do. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
really 100% open about the fact that I don't remember the things that I read even this morning, let alone last year. And granted,
Mm-hmm.
I'll read it again. And here's what's funny though is that with Facebook now and the fact that we've been our podcast has had a Facebook page now for 2 years,
Right.
so we're getting memories on there, and I do look at the memories, kind of look back. Sometimes I'm stealing memes from a couple years ago or whatever and reposting them because they're
Uh-huh.
funny. But what's funny is that the not all the time, but a higher percentage of the time, I posted the same reading 2 years ago and last year that I did today.
Right.
Because I'm reading basically the same books. There was,
Yeah.
I wasn't reading, I've been reading a day at a time now for maybe a couple of years because I was
Mm-hmm.
reading from, I was getting a daily reading from In the Rooms, so I pull back a lot of those because I like them, but a
Mm-hmm.
lot of them they're a little bit long and they don't fit on Instagram really well for whatever reason. Just that's Instagram's way of, I don't know, doing whatever. Um, but the obviously God grant me and keep it simple. I've been reading for years and I'll,
Mm-hmm.
I'll pick out the same reading without even knowing it. But then when I look
Right.
back at the memories, I'm like, fuck man, I just posted that this morning again too, which to me is kind of, it's cool because the same, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out sometimes, okay, am I stuck in the same, I could look at it two different ways, that I'm stuck in the same rut that I'm not, catching anything new, or it's solidifying that I'm still on the right path. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know which
Right.
way to look
Yeah.
at it.
Absolutely. Well, and like I just said, it just something will hit you differently because hopefully we're slightly different people than we were a year ago or 2 years ago or 14 years ago.
Right.
Right. So, yeah, oh shit, that makes sense now. Or, oh, it means something different to me than it did 3 or 4 years ago for whatever reason, experience, age, senility, whatever it is.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think I don't think, well, this whole thing is repetition, man.
Right.
Like you said, the guys in the other podcasts, reading the big book over and over and over and over again. Right. All of that. It's repetition. It's, doing your prayers, doing your meeting, all of it. It's repetition, man.
Right.
Building. How do you strengthen a muscle? You keep doing the same thing with it over and over again to make it stronger. I think that's, it applies to recovery too. Same thing, man. Build those muscles up, build those defenses up against that first one.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's not, I don't think it's a rut. I think it's routine. That's what we fucking need, man.
Right.
I do.
Yeah, there was no other word that popped into my head, and I guess I wasn't thinking it is a bad thing, but yeah, you're right. It is. It's just it is that routine, and the cool part too is that, um, and we kind of back to what we were talking about in the beginning, as far as not going to a lot of meetings and have growing out of this sort of in different directions and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking back and some of these things that I was posting 10 years ago, they were not from recovery things, but they were, quotes that I was finding that were based
Mm-hmm.
on recovery, and I'm reposting them, so that led into me, grabbing actual quotes from these readings and things like this and posting them. I don't know how long I've been, because I was doing it on, what the fuck, a couple of different places. Sober Grid was one I did for years, and shit, that I think was like 2000, God, 14. I think I was in Germantown when I first moved to Germantown, so 2015 maybe.
Uh-huh.
So I did that for years, and then obviously been posting them on Instagram. So not 10 years yet, but a good 8 or 9 that I've been
Right.
posting these quotes every morning, and that is part of my posting a quote. I mean, it's cool. I like the fact that it makes me feel good that some people grab those, and people
Right.
comment on them and stuff like that. And some people share them on their stories. That makes me feel good because it's reaching a couple of people. And that's what this whole thing is about, but it forces me to pay attention to those readings because I
Mm-hmm.
have a purpose. I have an assignment for myself.
Right.
Literally that's what it is. It's almost like a homework assignment every morning, that I need to find one. And if I don't, I'll dig back into, just go into my pictures and I'll scroll back and just find one that catches my eye and I'll repost it,
Oh.
So yeah, it's the routine, but it's the repetition, and the same thing. Like you said, I'm reading the big book all the time. We read
Mm-hmm.
the same fucking books in the morning every goddamn day.
Yeah.
Two of them every day
Right.
for years, 10 plus
Mm-hmm.
years.
Right. Yeah.
So
Well, right. Yeah. Uh, exactly. A 24-hour book. I mean, 14 years every
mhm.
fucking day.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we started. I know the first time that I read that would have been on day 7. That I was sober,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
um, you know, every day. I've never. That's one thing that I'm just really. I'm proud. I'm proud to say that I've never missed a day of reading that one. And
Mm-hmm.
then, like it's whatever you start reading, God grant me, I started reading that one probably a year after that. So me maybe 10 years. You probably
Right.
12, probably at
Yeah.
least, right?
Yeah. About that. Yeah. It
Yeah.
was a couple years in when I found it. Yep.
Yeah. So anyhow, I don't remember how did we get off on that? Was that the contempt prior to
Yeah.
investigation?
That was it.
But anyhow, so I mean, obviously, good saying. Now I know that it's in the big book, and yeah, that is what it is, right?
It's in the back of the book.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it's not in the first 164, which is the
No.
program for anyone out there. So
Yes.
let me see. I'm just gonna try to let's dig back here. This is one that, Christ, when did we have Katie on? Back in September, I think.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Yeah, because that's right, because I was in Oklahoma City when we recorded with her. So don't hate the addict or alcoholic, depending on the saying or the individual. Hate the disease. And
Mm-hmm.
Katie has that bracelet. She had the bracelet from an event with her residents, and she had brought it up, and she asked, kind of, it was a question. She's like, how do you guys feel about that saying? And I said, well, I'll write it down and we'll talk about it at some point. And it's been on my list literally probably since October. So what day
Okay.
is it today? So yeah, 7 months. So that just
Mm-hmm.
gives you a rough idea how old some of these things are. But anyhow, so don't hate the addict or alcoholic, hate the disease. How do you feel about that? Back to you, Mike.
Well, thanks, Bill. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's not one of my favorites, but yeah, right. Because don't hate the person and don't hate the things that they have done because they were in the grips of their addiction or disease. Right. Yeah. We've done some horrible things because we were untreated alcoholics or addicts. Yeah, right. It's not generally, we're, not really bad people. We're just, sick,
Mhm.
which is another way to say it. Right. So don't hate the person, hate the fact that they have the disease but yeah, don't hate.
Don't be a hater, man.
Don't be a hater, man. Right. Hate's bad. I mean, yeah, the disease is the disease. It doesn't have feelings. It's not a person. Why would you hate it? It's why would right? Like fuck cancer. Okay, well, cancer's cancer. It doesn't really give a shit whether you hate it or not. Right? Addiction doesn't really give a fuck how you feel about it.
Right.
Because it doesn't think, it doesn't feel, it just is. Yeah, I wish I didn't have this disease? I suppose. But then again, you hear in the rooms a lot too, I'm grateful I'm an alcoholic because I found this new way of living that I wouldn't have found without being sick.
Right.
So, I don't hate anything anymore. I dislike a lot of things.
Right.
I have contempt for a few things,
Yeah.
but I don't hate anything.
So, and that's exactly what I was going to say. I'm like, okay, can we have contempt for it? So thank you. You brought that up because maybe that would be a better mindset. I agree with you. It's, hating
Inanimate
yes. Wait, could you say that again?
object.
Yes. Or thing or concept, or
Right.
item, whatever it is. It's fucking pointless,
Right.
But as you were saying that, yeah. So, yeah, we don't want to dislike an individual or have contempt for the individual. It's like, okay, they're, that because of this disease and this and that, all these different things. However, what it made me think about in the beginning, though, is that I know I had to be really careful not to use that as a crutch, and
Mm-hmm.
basically saying to people, well, I was drunk when I did that, so
Sure.
yeah, let's not talk about.
So forgive me.
Yes, no,
Right.
not even
Yes.
not even forgive me, because that wasn't me. That was over there, you know.
Right.
And so I had to be careful of that, being like, I joke, I did it on purpose. I would joke with people. People would say, do
Mm-hmm.
you remember that, or do you do this? I'm like, I don't remember anything like that. I must have been drunk.
Right. Yeah.
It's whatever it is, a bad thing, something I don't remember, something I didn't, do properly. Must have been drunk. Then somebody's like, that was like 3 years ago. Yeah, okay. Alcoholic thinking, then whatever it was, I don't
Yes.
know. But no, and I get the concept. It was just something that I don't know that we've ever really specifically talked about that. But yeah, I mean, that is the mindset. It's the disease. It's not necessarily the individual, but
Mm-hmm.
we have to take responsibility for ourselves, and we can't
Oh, absolutely.
just kick back and be like, oh, that was the disease. You can't
Uh-huh.
you can't hold me responsible. Oh, yes, we can.
Yes, of course. Well, you better hold yourself responsible.
Right.
That's the whole point of, one of the big points of this thing is taking responsibility, even though, yes, it was the heroin talking. It was the vodka talking. It was fucking me talking. I just happened to be on heroin or drunk.
Right.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It
Yeah.
was just the enhanced version of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we've talked about plenty too. Right. I'm a liar, cheat, and a thief. I was just more of that because of that. But right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's. I mean, I got plenty more things on here, but yeah. I mean, I'll tell you that just the thing about when I said the attic thing. So just real quick, the router is up at the attic here. Because when I got
Mm-hmm.
here, I saw a cable, because a guy. I asked these fucking questions before when I started doing this traveling. I
Sure.
need to plug in my computer, my work computer. It's not Wi-Fi enabled. Even if it was, they don't want us, because
Yeah.
we're on the phone, this and that. They want us to have an Ethernet plug-in, so I have to have it. So I asked that question: is there a modem or router in place? Yes, there is. Perfect. So I come in here and I'm looking. The guy's like, at one point in one of the messages, like, yeah, as long as you got a long enough cable to run it out of the closet. So I just thought they had it like on a shelf in the closet. So I open the
Mm-hmm.
closet, there's a cable but no fucking router, and I'm like, so I climb up on a chair, and there's no ladder going up into this attic thing. And there's like this shelf, like two shelves in there. So I look up, and the router's like in the middle of this attic. It's a small house. It's not like it was,
Mm-hmm.
not like your house on the other end. But I'm like, what the fuck, man? Because I'm like, I need to be able to restart this thing every day, and I could already tell, literally, I could tell on my phone, the internet was running slow. It's like my phone's loading slow, and I'm like, fuck me. So I crawl up there and get up there and getting down. Well, that's the tough part. There's no ladder, and there's a shelf and this and that. I scraped the living fuck out of my elbow coming down. I had to go up there twice. Okay. Um, just a quick side note. I'm 55 years old. I have
Mm-hmm.
no business doing that, and I could have
Right.
hurt myself.
Uh-huh.
But I'm like, I got to get up there. I got to do this shit. I need to get up there. Thankfully there's the kitchen, and the table in the kitchen's high top with high top chairs. They're wooden chairs, so I could stand on them, and that's how I get up there. But yeah, so I ended up rearranging. I had to unplug this and rearrange all this different shit. So now all I have to do is stand on a chair, open up the trap door, and I can actually reach up and unplug the router so I could restart it. It was a fucking
Uh-huh.
mess. But and like I said, like in the beginning when we talked about, when you're like, ooh, fancy, not really. It's
Mm-hmm.
nice, it's comfortable-ish. I'm irritated about the fact that I could hear the next door neighbor. I don't like that. A couple of other little minor things, and but you know what? Here's the thing that and even today I was telling myself, I'm like, okay, so here's the deal. Not really happy about a couple of these little things, but um, since I left Cleveland, because it was cold, still coldish when I was
Mm-hmm.
up by you.
Yeah.
I haven't had long pants on in 2 weeks. It's fucking beautiful. It hasn't been below any place I've been in the last 2 weeks. It hasn't been below 80 degrees. It's sunny. It's beautiful. I'm by this bay. I'm gonna go stare at the fucking Gulf of Mexico tomorrow.
Nice.
So, and I'm just, again, everything is not, it's not this perfect whatever area. It's kind of like trailer park ish stuff around here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad neighborhood. There's some nice homes and some trash homes,
Right.
But it's not the nicest place, but I try, what I'm looking at is like all this other shit I get to experience,
Uh-huh.
So that's what I'm, again, trying to look at the positive part, because I could easily sit in here and stew about the fact that I, hear this guy clear his throat, whatever the deal, and I'm recording in a fucking bathroom, so I could have a little bit, so I could just be myself, while we're doing this. But fuck it, all that doesn't really matter, it just kind of is what it is. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, bring it all back around in the moment.
The
You
moment.
can sit there and focus. Right. You can focus on the bad shit, or you can look for the good.
Mhm.
And if you look for the good, you find the good, and then shit's pretty good.
Right. Oh,
Right. Or you can focus on the bad, and then it's all bad, and and then you fucking feel like shit and life is bad. Why
Yeah.
the hell would you want to live like that,
I know.
man?
And that's the thing, man. I still, all of us do, I know, but it's weird that we have to, consciously wrestle with it. But I still have the ability to, I could sit here and fucking stew over all this different shit. I know I can.
Yeah.
I can fall into it really easily. Oh, last thing, real quick, the traffic around here is fucking crazy. I went shopping on Sunday. Went up to, there's a Kroger up there. There's an Aldi. There's a Walmart. I went all around these different areas, kicking around, not a problem. I go out today, and I was, again, getting stuff settled, finishing up my laundry, and I head out and go down this one road because I went up to Kroger. I almost ran out of coffee, so I'm like, I'll go get a pound of coffee, grab my pizza. I got stuck in this traffic on this road going up to Kroger. It, rather than taking me 10 minutes, it took me like 20 plus minutes to get up there, and then coming back the same thing. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, where are all these fucking cars coming from? It's crazy, so.
Yeah, people.
I know.
Getting in our way, man.
Fucking
bastards.
Don't people know what I got to do? I had to get back here and eat
That's
my pizza,
right.
and whatever. So, all right. You know what? I don't know about you, but I think I'm fucking done. You're done?
Oh yeah, I was done an hour and a half ago.
All right. So, well, do your thing there, Mike.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening to another episode of Sober Not Mature. As always, be kind to each other, be good to each other, do something nice for somebody else this week, and don't tell anybody you did it. Guess what, kids? It's time. It's time for you to fuck off. Then keep fucking off. Keep fucking off till you get to a gate with a sign on it saying you cannot fuck off past here. Climb over that gate, dream that impossible dream, and keep fucking off forever.
Like some fucking late night, what am I thinking of? I don't know, some late night, I don't know.
Venus flytrap.
Yeah.
Hello, my children.
Yeah, I kind of like that. And everyone, join us next week. Our buddy Gary's coming on. So so Gary's coming up next week. But it's it's been a slice, a slice of something, but
Slice of something.
Yeah, some technology.
Slice off your elbow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I did. It's kind of a little fucked up, but it's all right. It's okay, man. I lived.
You did.
I did. All right, man. I love you, brother.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye. And now it is time for you to fuck off. Then keep fucking off. Keep fucking off until you get to a gate with a sign on it saying you cannot fuck off past here. Climb over that gate, dream the impossible dream, and keep fucking off forever.